Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Deborah, and today I'm finishing up the second part of my journal and putting in my second signature. I had a few sound issues yesterday with the video, so I apologise if that was a problem for you, and I'm now doing a voiceover of the remaining part of the video that I did yesterday. So what I'm doing here is just picking out some pages to put into this second signature. I have decided that it's not going to fit more than 2 signatures for this particular project, and that's okay. So I'm just determining what pages to put in. I've got a number to choose from, but I'll keep the rest for another project because I'm sure that they're going to go in any project at all. So here we go. We're just doing this now and determining if this is thick enough, which it's looking pretty big actually. I'm just checking through the pages now to make sure I'm happy with that, and I've decided that I will move the tea-dyed paper around so that I've got 2 pages on the outside and the inside that are made with the scrapbooking paper, because it's actually a bit thicker, and in terms of it not ripping when I tie up the binding, the wax thread, it's better if I have them on a, have a scrapbooking page on the first part of the signature and then the last part. So I'm just swapping that over now so that I've got that, and it'll work like that. It just means that I'll have 2 pieces of coffee dyed paper in a row in the journal, but that's not the end of the world. Now I'm using the little template that I made myself yesterday just to poke holes through the center fold of each of the pages so that I can put them in the journal and I know that they've all got holes in them. Now that one's a little bit off, so I'm just going to poke another hole. Honestly, if you're worried about things like that, you can always cover it with some washi. The reason why it's a bit off is because I didn't clip the little piece of template onto the page to hold it in place, and so that one hole on the right hand side, I've just missed it when I've poked it through. If I was a bit more patient, I probably would have clipped it, but I do everything at 100% speed. I don't have any patience for doing things slowly, and I'm sure that you are probably much better at this than I am, and that's just me, so I've learned to accept that. Now I'm going to take the binding that I had, so I'm just pulling off some waxed thread. Now the reason that I use a waxed thread is because it won't rip the pages as much. Actually, none of my journals have really ripped like that I've made. If you just use string or some sort of cord that isn't waxed, you'll find that your pages will rip a little bit too much. So that's why I use a wax thread. The other reason is because it's wax, it will slide through the page a lot easier as I'm threading it through with my needle. So what I've got here is I've got my first center hole done, and now I'm going to put it on to the piece that will stick into the journal. So this is the piece that I already put one on. When you do more than one like this, it does get a little bit fiddly. So, but if you take your time, you'll find that it'll be okay. You can see I've threaded that through the actual piece that'll stick on to the journal, and now I'm coming back through all of the pages. And I find for some reason when you go from inside out, it's pretty easy, but when you come from the outside in, you need to take a little bit of time to do that so that you get all of your pages hooked on. If you miss a page, and I have done that on several occasions, you just have to unpick it all and then put it all back together again. So now I go from that hole, you can see it coming together, down to the bottom hole. The other thing to remember when you're doing this, of course, is that you need to make sure your papers are all up the right way. And yes, I have had journals that I've bound and one signature or a page in a signature has not been up the correct way. It's pretty easy to make that mistake, so you need to check. And there is a journal that I have actually where the page is upside down, and I haven't bothered to take it out. I've just left it. Luckily, I think that one didn't have any pockets or anything on it, so I was able to get away with it being upside down. But with this one, which is full of different types of ephemera that I've made and plenty of pockets and tuck spots, it's important that it is up the right way. So I'm pulling the thread through, just easing that through from the center to the outside and then the outside to the inside, so that I can thread the next hole through. I'm using a brown wax thread. I buy this in a packet of 3. I don't know what the brand is, but there is a brown, a black and a white, and it lasts for ages. In fact, this is the first packet I've bought, and it's still going strong on all 3 colors. I think that it's quite a lot of thread that you get in this particular packet, but whatever wax thread you're using is fine. I also have some wax thread that I bought from the UK, which is a special bookbinding thread. This is just a generic wax thread, this one I'm using. I find that it's actually really good because it's nice and strong. The other one I do use on various projects, but I tend to use this particular thread for most of my journal binding. I just really like it, and I like that I can choose either the black, the brown, like I have in this instance, or the white. And you can see that I'm now teasing that thread through the pages to pull it to the center. Now, the other thing to remember when you're binding your journals is don't skimp on your thread. I have a very generous amount of thread here. It just makes your life so much easier in terms of pulling it from one side to the other if you've got some leeway in your thread. And like I said, I've had this pack of 3 wax threads for ages and I haven't yet finished it. So now I'm just checking that I don't have any loops or anything through my book. That's important, because if you've got loops, it means that your pages will come loose. And everything's looking good, so I'm tying up this second signature now. And then again, I slip that thread underneath the center to catch the one that goes from the top hole to the bottom hole. So just get that nice and tight and tie it up. I haven't cut these threads off. I might do that. I might tie them in a bow. I don't know. Now you can see, because I was doing 3 signatures in this one, I have prepped that spine piece for 3 signatures, but I think it'll still work. I'll just have to do a bit of a refold as I put it into the journal. You can see there that 2 is plenty because it is a big girl. She's huge. So I will just refold some of that, and you're not really going to see that anyway. And again, if you did something like that and it bothered you, then washi tape is your best friend. Just put some washi tape over it. I'm not going to bother because you can't really tell that it's there once it's all in. So now I'm just positioning it, and the way that I put this in is I put some double-sided tape on the spine piece, and I make sure that obviously I need to put it on this part of the book, not the spine of the piece of card. The reason being is that this is shorter than the piece of card that I'm putting it onto. So if I put the double-sided tape on the piece of card on the actual cover, then I would have double-sided tape top and bottom that I don't need, and it would be very sticky. I use this Suk Wang tape. I find that it's the best. It's very, very strong. It is more expensive though. So I've got other double-sided tape, and I've just found that it's not as good, and I don't use a lot of double-sided tape anymore. I used to use heaps of double-sided tape, especially when I was scrapbooking. I just don't use that much anymore, and so for this reason I spend the extra money on the Suk Wang, and I don't have any affiliation with them. It's just something that I like. Now I'm putting that spine that I've created with the signatures in it into my cover, and I've just positioned it because obviously it's smaller than the cover in terms of height, so I just positioned it there before I could put it in to make sure that I've got pretty much an even amount of space on the top and the bottom of the journal. And I've just stuck the spine in, but you can see here that I haven't actually glued down the flaps. So I'm going to do that now. And with this one, I'm going to use my glue. I've glued those flaps down, and now I'm doing the inside cover piece. So I've just added some glue to that inside cover, and I'm putting down a piece of paper, scrapbooking paper, that I've cut to the correct size. So that will be the inside front cover, and then I'll repeat that on the inside back cover as well. Now I'm going to stick this random piece of paper that I've got hanging off here. This is the paper that I've wrapped around onto the spine of the book, and I've decided, it's just random, but I've decided to stick it down all the way around to the back cover. I think that will look fine. It'll look a bit weird, but I think I like that look, so that's why I've decided to do it. You can see there that it looks a bit strange maybe to you, but I like it. And I've got a bit of glue there on the spine of the book, so I'm going to have to do something about putting something else over the top of that. But here is the finished book as it is so far, and I'm really super happy with how it's turned out. So now I might do a flip through of it so that you can see the final product. So just before I finish it up, I'm going to cover some on this spine because it's got some glue there, and I've cut this piece and that's looking a bit too regimented. So what I'm thinking is that maybe I'll tear it so it's sort of like only a bit of it. I'll just tear some off so I get a bit of spine and a bit of this to hide that glue where I've made a bit of a mess. I think that's much better. So there's always a solution for everything, isn't there? So I'll pop this on here, and then I think I'm done. And that will tidy up that spine so that it's not all gluey. Yep, okay, I'm happy with that now. All right, so we'll have a quick flip through, will we? So this is the book. As you know, I can't shut it. I can if I really push on it, but I don't want to do that, so that's fine. And I'm really happy with it actually. I've never made a cover from packaging before. I don't know why, I just haven't got round to it. So here it is, and this is the inside page that I did, the front, and then I'll just go through it. Now it doesn't seem to want to open. Ah, there you go. Yep. It just took some encouragement to make it open, but it is completely full, and I've still got room to put things in here. In fact, I had another little folder here. I was going to pop that in too. So I'll pop this one in here, and I've got two in there now. Then of course I've got all of these, so really nice little embellishments and things I think that I've put in here. Lots of space if I want to add more in. I like the wax thread. I'm not going to make that any smaller. I'm just going to leave it in there. And I'm super happy with the pieces that I've come up with for this. All right, so just a quick little flip through so you can see how it ended up. And if you go back and look, all of these pieces are things that I've made in my recent videos. So if you go to the list of videos I've got, you'll find them, like this little envelope and things. All of that are things that I've made. That's even got another little postcard in it, that one. That just pops in there. So you'll go back and you can have a look at all that if you want to have a refresh. This was one of the art pieces that I did. I've got little things in that one as well. So there's plenty of things. So that's one signature, and that's what the center of the two signatures looks like. And then I've got the next one. So that's a lot going on here with lots of little things that flip and tags that pull out and things. So I'm sure you can go back and look at all those if you want to. I won't open them all now. So that's how the tea dyed paper's holding up, and it's pretty good actually. It will stay quite good. The other journals I've used it in, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. So just various little things that are in here, and just full of creativity, I think, and quite like what I've managed to do with this one. Now I've got the back cover, and I don't think that I want to cover it. I know it looks really raw, but I really like that and this random bit of paper that I did. So there you go, that's my journal, and I hope you liked that and it's given you some ideas, and I will be back with more videos. Until then, this is Deborah. Thanks for watching. Cheers.